At the outset, let me thank Sabu for giving me one more opportunity. And today's topic is a long-term solution for India's LPG and LNG. I will go slow in some areas because people should understand the changes which are going to happen in LPG and LNG supply in India. So with this, I will upload my presentation. Okay, so I'm going to talk about future, let us say for next 15, 20 years, what will happen on LPG, LNG side. And that is the central point of my discussions with you today. You know the background. 108 days the war has been going. Familiar what percentage is coming from abroad and what is domestic production, etc. So we had to look for alternative sources other than Middle East. Because Middle East was nearby and there were plenty, market conditions were favorable. We are taking from Middle East. But now we are looking at alternative sources from where we can buy more for LPG and LNG and less for crude oil. The reason is our strategic reserves in crude oil is very relatively high. We have talked about it in an earlier discussion, the strategic reserves. So we have been worried about LPG. LPG definitely because each one of you is looking at LPG situation and also LNG, which is required for industries. So let us see what has been the impact. Energy prices have gone up. Our citizens are bearing the increased price of petrol, diesel, LPG, and our country is not involved in this Middle East situation, but we are subjected to this, and India's vulnerability is really worrying on LPG and LNG front. What will happen in future? Suppose the war doesn't end or another war breaks out. What will happen to us? So we are going to discuss this. How does India protect itself from such situations in future for LPG and LNG? But before I go into that, I need to tell you what is LPG and what is LNG, a little more detail than what you may be already knowing. LPG and LNG are both fossil fuels. They have carbon emission, but it is less than coal and diesel, much less than. LPG is liquefied petrol gas and LNG is liquefied natural gas. And we are importing more than 50% for both LPG and LNG. Exact values will come a little later in the presentation. So it is very critical for us. We are vulnerable. These imports have to come from somewhere. Then only you will have LPG supply to your house or LNG supply to the fertilizer plants, which is very much required to produce fertilizers. LNG is mostly methane, 90% LNG, which is used by fertilizer companies and so many other applications. LPG is a mixture. You may be knowing it, but I'll just repeat, is a mixture of butane and propane. 60-40 is the ratio in India. But this ratio can change in other areas where the climate is cold or in winter time, they have less butane and more propane because then only the heat will be sufficient for the cooking to be done. Both these are colorless, odorless gases. But when they are supplied to the customer, they put some chemical which will smell different it will have an order. And that is why you're able to detect if there is a leak. Oh, I can smell gas, there's a leak. But actually the gas which is original doesn't have any smell. It is added before it is bottled and sent to you. Petrol gas, if you pressurize it, even at room temperature, it will become liquid. That is LPG. But natural gas, you have to cool it to minus 162 degrees to make it liquid. So just remember, petrol gas, just pressurize it, it'll become liquid. Natural gas, you have to cool it to a low temperature to make it liquid. Why do you want to make it liquid? Because liquid is easy for storage and transportation, while gas is not. And today's imports and domestic production, they account for 6% of our total energy mix. When I say energy mixes, there is petrol, there is diesel, there is coal, there is natural gas, there is LPG, LNG. If you put all this together, 6% of the energy comes from LPG and LNG. LPG actually came to a country in 1950s under a different name called Burshane. There was a company called Burma Shell. I don't know, some of you may remember. It is an oil company, a British oil company. It is named Burma Shell. And they used to supply this gas in 1950s. I didn't have that in my house in 1950s. Or only in 60s towards the end, we started getting gas connection. Till then, we are managing with kerosene oil and wood. And later, in 60s, Indian came. That you may remember. Indian Oil started supplying gas in cylinders called Indian, which is actually essentially for cooking purposes. Natural gas came in India in 1960s. And it was actually drilled out of the ground. I'll give you some photographs of it later. And that gas was taken through pipes and sent to power station where they could run a generator with the help of natural gas. And this was supplied through pipes laid under the ground. Liquid natural gas, LNG, came only in 2000 into our country. And they were supplied, they're imported, they're supplied by ships. From ships it is to be transferred to trucks. You must have seen those long trucks like a cylinder, which is called a bullet. They actually are temperature protective of the liquid. It remains a liquid. And that has got layers of insulation inside that bullet, which keeps it as a liquid. And it is supplied either as a liquid or at the receiving station, that is when the ship comes, like in Kochi, it is received as liquid, it is made into gas in the harbor itself, called a regasification unit, and the gas is transferred through pipeline too. But normally, gas is not sent by truck. It has to be either liquid. Then only it is ease of transporting. Gas is not easy to transport by trucks. Only as a liquid you can transport. So this is the situation now. LPG came in 1950s, LNG came in 2000, and government wants to increase the share of LPG, LNG to 15%. As I told you earlier, it is 6% now. By 2030, they want to make it 15% of our mix. Reduce the coal a little bit, reduce other polluting fuels, etc. But there's vulnerability on imports. Without imports, we cannot manage. And the import supply chain can face problems in future. Okay, with that, let us go to how is LPG produced. It is produced by two methods. I'll just show some photographs and understand. First, LPG is produced in a refinery tower, in a refinery where you get diesel, kerosene, petrol, and then you get gases, different types of gases. This is when you heat up crude oil and when you process it. These gases, you separate butane and propane and mix it up at 50%, and that becomes LPG. This is one way of producing LPG in the country. It is being done that way. LPG is produced in this manner by every refinery. We've got about 25 or 24 refineries. They all produce LPG based on this method. The second method is, before I go to the second method, suppose I want more LPG, then I have to reduce the petrol quantity and increase LPG, because it is petrol gas which is liquefied. So LPG, if you want more LPG, then you reduce petrol. That is what the government did. During the last 3 months, government has been producing less petrol from refineries and producing more LPG. They told them, produce more LPG because that is required by citizens. So produce, and we have reserves for diesel and petrol. So they could manage the situation by one of these techniques. It's not the only one. There are some more, which I'll tell you later. The second method is you take natural gas. Natural gas has got all type of gases in it. Methane, propane, butane, etc., etc. You remove some filtering it by removal of impurities, and then you send it through a cold chamber. It's like a chiller, and all the gases get cooled. In that cold, lighter gas is methane. So that becomes LNG. While the heavier gas, which is butane and propane, is taken out, mix it, that becomes LPG. So LPG is, in India, you can either get from a refinery or from a gas processing plant where natural gas is supplied and you produce it. So these two techniques are being followed in our country, and we produce very close to 40% of our requirement comes from our own refineries and gas processing plant. Now, the LPG contained in natural gas, that is propane and butane, etc., it's less than 10%, 6%, 5%, like that it goes. Now, we require 31 million tons of LPG every year. 60% is imported. 40% is Indian. Out of 40%, 16% comes from refineries, which I told you some time back, how it comes from refineries. And 24% comes from gas processing plant. So that is what it, and from there, once you have made the LPG, it is delivered through either a pipeline or by trucks, which are bullets. It remains as a liquid inside the truck and it is transported. There are very few pipelines, LPG pipelines. 5,000 kilometers of LPG pipelines are there. Mostly it is from where the shippers come from there. Straight away that LPG is connected through a pipeline and it goes. The longest one which we have in India is between Jamnagar and Loni. In Jamnagar, we have the biggest refinery in the world. Just for information, the refinery of Reliance in Jamnagar is the biggest in the world. So they produce a lot of LPG, and that LPG is sent by pipe to Loni, which is in Maharashtra, for the various industries. It's about 1,400 kilometers. When it comes from ships, it can either come by trucks or there aren't any. I think from Mangalore, it is, you can take it by LPG and then send by pipeline to Hyderabad. It is possible. So delivery is by bullets or by pipelines. Now, how much LPG is required in India? 31 million tons. I told you 85% is meant for domestic customers, you and me. 33 crore subscribers are there in our country for LPG. They all want a cylinder. And out of this 33 crores, about 10.5 crores get at subsidized rates. It used to be 9 cylinders a year. Now it's been brought down to 4 cylinders a year. And all those come in red cylinders. Just remember, The gas you get connection is the gas which is delivered to you is a red cylinder, and the balance 15%, 85% is for domestic. 15% is going to commercial license holders like hotel, restaurant, guest house, etc., which goes in blue cylinders. So red cylinder is for individual customers. Blue cylinder is for commercial requirement. And when you get a cylinder, 86% is filled with LPG. 86%. Balance is vapor, gas. And that is how the cylinder is packed in the bottling center. There are about 200 bottling centers in India. And moment you open the regulator, that gas which is on top will come out. And air goes into the burner and you're able to light into a blue flame. And more LPG, which is liquid, will get converted because you open the regulator. Now pressure is gone. So more liquid will become vapor and it will continuously supply you with LPG gas. It is not LPG, it is PG. Gas will keep coming and you will be using your stove. Now, when the stove is lit, if the mixture of air and PG and air is correct, then you'll get a blue flame. Right. Now, in India, we have strategic reserves for LPG, one in Mangalore, one in Visakhapatnam. The quantity is not much. It is just enough for 1.5 days usage of India. So this strategic reserve has been useful, but it is only for 1.5 days. But refineries, bottling plants, import receiving points where ships bring LPG, etc., there are some storage available. Put together, we have put 17 days of storage. If you add up all this of LPG, and that is how the government has been able to manage the situation this time. Now, today, as we speak, your LPG comes not from Iran, not from Qatar. It is coming from USA. All the way from USA, LPG is coming to us by ship. It takes more time to come from USA, and therefore the cost is also high. That is why some part of the cost has been charged to the customer. Now, how do we overcome this vulnerability? Because this is going to be a problem all the time worrying us that our LPG should continuously come from abroad. So what the government has done is they have told you, stop using cylinder. Stop it. Instead, take LPG through pipeline. I don't know how many towns have got piped gas in Kerala. There could be one or two, I'm not very sure. But I know many other cities, Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, etc., they have all slowly piped gas has come. Why is this being done? I'll tell you the reason. Very simple. Suppose you've got crores of people having cylinder at home. I'm talking of one cylinder. I'm not talking of 2 cylinders. If you have 2 cylinders, you are lucky, but the government is not happy about it. I'll tell you why. If you have a cylinder at home, at least half a cylinder gas will be there. At least. Then you look at it. I should order gas in another 2 weeks' time, 1 week's time, like that goes. So if every household is keeping half a cylinder at home as stock, and all the houses put together, so much of gas is lying as stock with customers, right? And that is not available for public distribution. What the government is saying is, we'll have a centralized gas collection, and from there, by pipes, it will come to your house. That is called the piped gas. And this has been started in urban areas so that the amount of gas locked up in individual houses is reduced, and thereby there's a little more flexibility in distribution. I've already told you that. And so far, pipe gas has been given to 1.5 crore houses. I know it is in Bombay, it is in Chennai, it is in Delhi, etc. They have already started. Now, to make it attractive, because now you don't require to bottle plants, and then you don't have to transport the bottle. The government brings the gas by big underground pipeline to a big receiving station, and from there pipes run to various wards in the corporation. One goes to a particular ward, one goes to another ward, and from there to each house it comes to your kitchen. Therefore, the cost of piped gas, and this piped gas is not LPG, it is natural gas. Now, this is something you should understand. When the government is distributing piped gas, it is not LPG. It is LNG. LNG has been made into NG gas, and then that gas comes through pipe called PNG. I'll repeat once more. LNG is imported, liquid is converted to gas, it becomes NG. That NG flows through the pipe to your house as PNG. So PNG cost is lower because LNG cost is lower than LPG, but LNG heat produced by PNG, that is natural gas, is less than LPG. So you will consume more gas if you use PNG than LPG, but it will be cheaper. Now, the government is trying to make further improvement. They are trying to mix biogas in the NG central station so that whatever is coming to your house through the pipe, it's a combination of biogas and natural gas. We can discuss more of this if you during question answer session. There are 100 units which are producing biogas in India with a daily total of 700 tons, just for information. So what you get as piped gas is natural gas plus, in some areas, plus biogas. So let's go to what is this is one plan by which they have made. LPG is slowly being moved away from urban areas. Instead, kitchens are being supplied with PNG, which is natural gas, piped natural gas. That is one step taken by the government. The second step is India is looking at having an undersea pipeline from Oman to India. It's about 2,000 kilometers. Under the sea, they want to bring a pipeline so that it reaches India. It is a very old proposal. It was lying unactioned. Now they are trying to reactivate this 1993 proposal. We'll have to spend about 40,000 crores, and it may complete by 2033, another 5-6 years. If this gas pipeline comes from Oman, then we have an assured supply, a more assured supply than coming by ship. Ships are sometimes stopped. Ships are not allowed to be operated. Ships are not allowed to be entering harbor to collect. All those things will not be there. But the pipeline itself can be sabotaged, like it happened to Russia during Ukraine war. So a little higher level of security by these two actions which the government has started, PNG and supply from Oman. Now let's look at natural gas. How is natural gas extracted and how is it produced? Natural gas is extracted like this. Under the ground, there is oil. And above the layer of oil is gas. That is natural gas. So what you do is you pump in water. You see this red arrow. And that water goes and pushes the oil and gas through pipelines up. 2 pipelines for gas, for oil, and 1 for gas, and it comes on top. There you collect it. And that gas is sent to your gas processing center. We're talking of only gas now, natural gas, so we're not talking about oil. Now, India has got about 900 gas wells, onshore and offshore, both put together. And the supply from there is by pipelines. But if it's at sea, it may not be coming as a gas. you will have a floating ship. Like, okay, it's a floating unit, not exactly a ship, but a floating processing unit, which is next to the well, where that will be converted to LNG, liquefying it, cooling it, and make it liquid, and then it will come by pipeline to the shore, and from shore thereafter it will go by trucks, which we had already discussed, bullets. We are looking at more gas wells to be explored, especially in Andaman Nicobar Islands. There have been some success. And the LNG supply or NG supply will improve when Northeast gas grid, all the Northeast states have got gas wells, but that is not connected so far. So when they get connected to the main grid of India, then we will have a better situation. Now, as far as LNG is concerned, 51% is imported. Remember, for LPG, it was 60%. For LNG, 51% is imported. Balance is 14% is coming from processing tenders, which are basically from onshore. From onshore, processing center, and then it goes. Balance 35% is coming from offshore, converted to sometimes liquid, mostly converted to liquid, LNG, and it comes by or by undersea pipeline. Now, how do you supply LNG to users? Is the series of pipeline all over India. This is the pipeline which is underground, which is existing in India. It is 25,000 kilometers of pipelines already laid over the years. They are supplying LNG, some are supplying LPG, and these are laid primarily from ports where the ship comes. You take out the LNG and the pipeline takes it straight to the fertilizer company. Or if it's a shore gas well, from there gas is taken to the fertilizer company. So there are 25,000 kilometers of pipelines which are under the ground. And in fact, Kochi has got lots of pipelines which are laid in the last 2 years. And I told you LNG received by ship is sent by either as by truck as a liquid or by through pipelines as a gas after regasification. Now, India has got 7 terminals where we can receive LNG. 7 terminals. 3 are in Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. Kerala is in Kochi. I've got 1 each. And they're able to handle this import of 36 million metric tons, which we are importing. So India is roughly importing about 36 million tons of LNG. And domestic production is also around very close to 36. I told you it is 49%. So very close to 36 million tons. Who's using this LNG? Who's using this natural gas? Fertilizer company uses 29% almost. Then comes city gas distribution. It's around 23%. Who's using in city? CNG for cars is compressed natural gas. Same natural gas, which is coming from abroad as LNG, made into NG, sent by pipeline, made into CNG, compressed natural gas at a higher pressure, and then it is given to the cars for running mostly as taxi service. And also for, I told you earlier, piped natural gas for home. And there are some power plants which also take 12%. There are other applications, some industries, etc. But the main application is fertilizer. In the last 100 days, our fertilizer industry has been very seriously affected by shortage of LNG because we've not been able to get LNG from Qatar and Iran, where we normally get from. Now we are trying to get from somewhere else. And therefore, allocation to farmers have been very seriously curtailed, very seriously reduced. And this is a serious issue which we need to solve. Fertilizer is required very soon. Monsoon is coming. Fertilizer, we are trying to import fertilizer. We are trying to get a new fertilizer plant in Russia, which will make fertilizer only for India. So many things are being discussed how to overcome this problem. But please remember, if there is situation like USA-Iran war, it is not only LPG which is affected, the farmers are also affected because you don't make fertilizer in the country. So how can India get more NG domestically? How can you get, suppose the import is not coming, we need to get it from somewhere. How to get it within the country? So India has come with a superb proposal. India has got lots of coal, and this coal is going to be burned. The coal is going to be burned along with steam. And then the coal burned with steam will produce a gas called syngas, which can be converted to methane. And methane is same as natural gas. So we will get a lot of natural gas when we burn coal intentionally. The coal is being burned intentionally to produce syngas, which is equal to natural gas. The government has started this proposal. They are planning to burn 1 billion ton of coal. We have got lots of coal, abundant coal. And we want to burn coal to produce enough natural gas for our CNG for cars and PNG for houses. And this coal gasification will happen in another 4 or 5 years' time. Government has just approved the project, and that project is going to modify many factories where fertilizer company will have another factory inside that where coal will be burned and syngas will be made, converted to methane and supplied to the fertilizer company. These are going to be started very soon. The second step, and a little far away, maybe another 15 years' time, you see India's map and you see this light blue area. This is called EEZ, around the mainland and around the islands, including Laccadives is inside this. Now, this area, EEZ, we have lots of natural gas. It is trapped underneath the rocks. You have to take it out. But we don't know how to take it out. If you take out just like that, the rocks will collapse. So that is not permitted. So far, permission has not come for taking it out, but they have allowed you to do some experiment. So we have large number of second large deposits we have in the world in this EEZ. They're called hydrates, where this methane is locked up. We have to take it out. And to prevent collapsing of the rock, we have to put something else and take out the methane. I'll answer that in question answer, how it can be done. And the technology is not yet ready in India. 5 countries have already done the experiment. They approved the technology: USA, Japan, South Korea, China, Canada, and they are ready to do it, provided this is approved by an authority called ISBA, International Seabed Authority. They are not approved it. India has got some more time to establish this technology. We may do some partnership with some country to develop this technology or develop it as applicable to Indian conditions. So by about 2035, in another 9-10 years' time, I expect this technology will be developed, demonstrated, and India will be ready to remove this hidden wealth of natural gas under the sea. So 2 techniques the government is doing. 1, burn the coal to produce methane, and burn the coal to produce syngas, convert it to methane, and use it as natural gas. The second is develop the technology to remove the trapped methane under the rocks in the sea, in our EEZ. We can take it only if it's in our EEZ. Now, these are the two steps as far as LNG is concerned. For LPG, earlier we said piped gas will come, piped natural gas will come, and LPG will slowly reduce from cities. Slowly cities will reduce LPG and instead they will get piped gas. That is one step being taken by the government to reduce the quantity of LPG which we are using. So I'm going to come to the last slide, which is a summary. And this slide is a little complex when you look at it. So I'll go very slowly, step by step. What is India's future? First, I'm going to talk of LPG. And I'm going to talk of 2026. This black border is 2026. That is today. What's the situation? In 2026, we are producing 40% in India, LPG. That is refineries and gas processing centers, which we discussed. 60% is imported from abroad, which is going through a problem now. We're getting it from USA. So there's a delay. There's more cost. And we have to deliver cylinders to 33 crore families, houses we have to deliver, which is 55% rural and 45% urban. That is our challenge. How to do it without any worries is an issue. Let's take the next gas, LNG. LNG, we produce 49% in India, offshore, onshore, put together. Import 51%, almost 50-50. And this natural gas, after regasification, it comes as a liquid, no? You make it a gas again. It is given 77% to industries, fertilizer company, power generation plant, some other industries, ammonia plant, chemical plants, all put together 77%. And 23% goes to city gas distribution centers. So if you're in a city which has got piped gas, there's a gas center where this natural gas is received. And from there, it is going for CNG petrol pumps, where CNG is available for cars, and piped gas to your house will come from this city gas distribution center. Third gas is compressed biogas. This is not there too much in cities. It is mostly in the small towns, urban, rural side. Bio waste is burned. You produce biogas, and it totally in India we are producing 700 tons a day, and that little bit is mixed in PNG, which we talked about. And in some rural areas, biogas is used straight away in the kitchen. It's nothing new. It's been there for the last 30, 40 years, biogas being utilized. Small villages used to have biogas available, which they used to take it to the houses. Now, the plant has become a little more modern. The plant has got piped gas in the rural side, where piped biogas is given to the houses in small villages, etc. So this is the situation of 2026. And the fourth gas we are talking about is syngas. Is it there now? No, it is not there, except in an experiment which has been done 4 or 5 months back. They have made syngas and see how we can use the syngas. So I'm including in 2026, when project coal gasification is installed, 35,000 crores is going to be spent on this. Then lots of syngas will come, which we'll be able to convert and see how to convert it, etc. So from 2026, let us go to 2035. We're jumping by 9 years. What will happen? In 2035, coal gasification plants will give methane, that is natural gas, to industries. So when that is given, you don't require so much of import, because this is coming from coal. So our import will reduce. Requirement to come, LNG to come from abroad will reduce. Second, since more coal gasification is coming to industries, it will be also, we'll be able to allocate more domestic supply for city gas, more PNG, more CNG for cars, more PNG for houses. So with this, it is expected at least 12 crore houses will have PNG. Please remember, LPG was for 33 crores in India. Out of that, 12 crores will go to PNG. So our LPG requirement will come down. We don't have to worry about it so much. We don't have to import so much. So coal gasification, which is giving natural gas, will support the industries. Domestic natural gas, which is being produced, which doesn't have to go to industry anymore, will come for cars, less pollution, and also for households, which will go to 12 crores houses. So now, because of this, LPG will reduce. You understand? That's how this LPG, LNG are mixing their customers. So because of this coal gasification, import will reduce after PNG covers most of the urban areas. And import will reduce of LNG of coal gasification. In short, LPG and LNG import will reduce by 2035. So another 7-8 years, we will have to keep worrying, but slowly, we will find the import is going to come down. So now I'm going to take you to 2040. Next step. In 2040, our methane from undersea hydrates, I told you, we would have developed the technology indigenously or with some help of another country, take out the methane from there, bring it by ship to shore, regasified as natural gas, and that gas will come here. So the import which was there will become further less. In fact, we don't have to do any import after this happens. So after 2040, our import for LNG will significantly reduce. We will have enough LNG in the country, and enough LNG means enough PNG, and enough PNG means very little LPG to be imported. So this import will get cut. This import will get cut. So 2040, the future of India's LPG and LNG will be different. We would have activated coal gasification to produce our own natural gas. We would have got the technology how to take out the trapped methane from under the rocks, under the sea. We would have developed technology, and we will not have to worry about our vulnerability for importing. Till then, of course, we are going to be having worries. I'm sure the governments of the day which are going to run will make sure coal gasification and hydrate methane supply from sea will start with some success. With this, I come to an end of my presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Jai Hind.